You know, for decades, the Japanese workplace was built on one big promise. You work for us, and you have a job for life. But today, that very promise is at the heart of a massive debate about the nation's future. Is this system a pillar of stability, or is it an old relic that's actually holding the country back?
Okay, so let's get our terms straight, because there are two ideas at the core of all this. First, you've got Shushin Koyo, which is lifetime employment. And second, Ninko Juretsu. That's the system of seniority-based pay and promotions. Put them together, and you get a workplace where loyalty and just sticking around for a long time is the main path to getting ahead.
And this really gets us to the central question we're tackling here. Is this system the secret ingredient to Japan's post-war economic miracle, a source of incredible social stability, or has it become a ball and chain, weighing down innovation and competitiveness in the 21st century?
To really get to the bottom of this, we're going to break down the arguments from a formal debate that basically put these two worldviews in a ring to fight it out. You've got one side arguing to keep the system, and the other arguing for a complete overhaul.
All right, first up, let's hear from the affirmative side, the team making the case for tradition. Their whole argument is that this system isn't broken at all. In fact, they say it's the very foundation of Japan's economic power and its social fabric.
So, they built their entire case on three big ideas that all connect. First, they say job security isn't just a nice perk for employees, it actually makes the company more productive. Second, that this whole seniority thing, even if it seems old-fashioned, is a super powerful way to build loyalty. And finally, that these two things together are the secret sauce behind the competitive power of Japanese industry.
Their first major point is that when people aren't constantly worried about getting laid off, they can actually focus on the long game, on developing their skills and helping the company grow. They even brought up OECD data that suggests a link between stable employment and higher labor productivity in other countries too.
And this really shows you the logic from the company's side. I mean, why would you spend a fortune training an employee who might just up and leave in 2 years? But under this traditional system, companies invest in their people for the long haul. They build up this deep, specialized knowledge that becomes a massive competitive advantage, especially in really complex fields like manufacturing.
But, of course, that's only one side of the story. So let's flip the coin and look at the counter-argument, the case for why this exact same system has become a liability that needs to be torn down.
So the negative side comes out swinging with their own three-pronged attack. They argue the system doesn't just fail to reward young talent, it actively smothers their ambition. Then, on a bigger scale, this creates a labor market that's stiff and can't adapt. And the final result, they claim, is that it's seriously hurting Japan's ability to compete on the world stage.
And this is where it gets really telling. The negative side pointed to a government report showing that a ton of young professionals who want to change jobs feel like they're being judged not on their skills or what they can do, but just on their age. You can imagine how frustrating that is.
And here's the real irony. A system that was designed to create security for everyone is now making companies so afraid to take risks that they're hesitant to hire anyone permanently. So what happens? You get this huge surge in temporary, contract workers who have zero job security, creating this polarized, two-tiered system.
Okay, so we've heard the opening arguments from both sides. Now comes the fun part, the rebuttal round, where they go head-to-head and directly attack each other's points. This is where the sparks really fly.
Team Tradition fires the first shot. They look at places like Silicon Valley with all the constant job hopping, and they ask, is that chaos really better than the Japanese model where you build deep expertise over decades inside one company? It's a great question.
But the negative team's response is so sharp. They basically say, that's not chaos, that's a feature, not a bug. They argue that when talented people move around, they spread new ideas, they challenge old ways of doing things, and they cross-pollinate innovation across the entire industry.
Now, the negative side goes on the attack, and they go right for the jugular of the seniority system. They ask a very blunt question. How can Japanese companies possibly win against global competitors when their leaders are chosen based on how long they've been around, not on whether they're the best person for the job? So the affirmative team, they're on the back foot here. But instead of just defending the old way, they pivot. They propose a compromise. They say, look, let's not abolish the system, let's evolve it. Let's create a hybrid model that keeps the stability but adds in more modern, merit-based evaluations. It's their attempt at a best-of-both-worlds solution.
So after all that back and forth, this is what it really boils down to. One side looks at the system and sees stability, loyalty, and a strong middle class. The other side looks at the exact same system and sees stagnation, block talent, and a country falling behind. It's two completely different realities.
All right. The arguments have been made, the rebuttals are done, it's time to see how the judge broke it all down.
They used 4 key criteria to figure out which side actually made the more convincing case for Japan's future.
And the judges' scorecard is in, and wow, it is a clean sweep. The negative side, the team arguing for change, was judged to be stronger on logic, better with their evidence, sharper in their rebuttals, and even a little clearer in how they presented their case. In the context of this debate, it was a knockout.
So the verdict was in, and it was clear. The argument for moving beyond Japan's traditional employment system was, in this debate at least, the more persuasive one.
So let's talk about why they won. It wasn't just about being more passionate. It was about being more precise. They brought hard data to the table, like the fact that the average age of managers in Japan is over 50. They completely dismantled that hybrid solution by arguing it's just not working in the real world. And most importantly, they successfully framed the whole debate around one powerful idea. In a world that's changing this fast, the risks of being inflexible now completely outweigh the rewards of stability.
But here's the thing. Winning a debate doesn't magically solve the problem. All it does is perfectly frame the massive question that Japan is now wrestling with. How does a society that is built on the idea of stability adapt to a world that demands nonstop flexibility?
And that is the real takeaway here. This isn't just about HR policies or corporate strategy. This is a profound question about national identity, about the social contract, and about what the very idea of a career will mean for millions of young Japanese people. And the answer they find will shape Japan's economy for decades to come.